Hello and good evening. Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. I'm here in Palm Springs, but I'm going to be at NAMM soon. And I'm so excited to have our guest tonight. And I'm going to have him introduce himself. Thank you.
How you doing, Valerie? How's it going? Yes, this is Keith St. John. Relevant to this interview from the band Montrose, and you may know me from Lynch Mob or Kingdom Come or one of those other bands that I've been in. We are here to talk about Ronnie Montrose Remembered. Try to wear a different t-shirt every night from over the years we've done the gig, which is taking place around this year's NAMM convention, which is in Anaheim, California. And we are right next door to the convention center at the House of Blues Anaheim on Friday, July 24th. Alrighty.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yay. I've been covering NAMM for a long time. So I'm so happy to have you here, Keith. And you've worked with people like Doug Aldridge and Neil Schon and world-class guitarists, given and the respect they have
Sure.
had for Ronnie. What do you think made Ronnie so special?
Well, a lot of things made Ronnie special. Ronnie in any time period on this planet would have been a special guy. He just was that kind of very meticulous, detail-oriented, A-list kind of thinker. And with guitars, he would work things like down to the electron, man, like down to the molecule. And as far as like getting the guitar sound that he wanted, he had his first heyday in the early 70s, which was a time in rock and roll when hard rock was starting to evolve out of, pop rock and other rock. And what was coined heavy metal back then? What was coined heavy metal in the late 60s was kind of like, Alice Cooper or Led Zeppelin, and they were the furthest thing that we would call heavy metal. It was just rock with a little harder edge. Well, Ronnie's guitar became kind of a pioneering influence for a lot of guitar players to come. We had Brad Whitford from Aerosmith, and we had Derek St. Holmes from Nugent, and all kinds of players that were in the 70s and kind of Ronnie's contemporaries. And the way they spoke to him was with such reverence for having kind of introduced that kind of guitar tone to the rock world, that it was really quite a pleasure, and also very validating for having, loved the guys playing and played with him for years, for me to hear them praise him so much. And, I'm mostly known as a singer-songwriter, but I do play some guitar and bass and drums and other stuff. And I play enough to get around on it, like a lot of singers do. And, I have no idea how to get a tone that Ronnie gets. It would take me years to try to figure that out. And there's other guys that were hanging out with Ronnie, like for example Dean Markley, who people from Dean Markley Strings. He's actually coming down to the show this weekend. God bless him, man. But he and Ronnie back in the early 70s were both those kind of guitar electronics tinkerers, and Dean actually invented the talk box that on Frampton Comes Alive, that wow, 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 that whole thing that Richie Sambora used later on. These guys were thinking, man, they had to be into the electronics, and the electronics kind of evolved the rock sound in a way. And it kept happening all throughout the 70s, and obviously really changed in the 80s when there was digital technology and things really took a different step. But yeah, I mean, he really influenced a lot of rock guitar players. The guys like you mentioned, Doug Aldridge, and we've had George Lynch and Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, and Steve Stevens from Billy Idol, and Gilby Clarke from Guns, and the list just goes and goes and goes. And these guys, being West Coast guys mostly, they grew up on Ronnie. So when they were kids, they were learning this stuff and going, God, how do we get that sound? And who else was like listening to that record? Van Halen. So, Eddie loved Montrose, and the band listened to Montrose a bunch. They hired Ted Templeman, who was Montrose's producer from their first couple of records, to do their record. because they wanted to try to capture that same live, in your face kind of sound on the record, which they did magnificently. And, I can't say much enough about Ronnie's influence on hard rock guitar sound.
Yes. And
Now his playing
yes, but
was another
sorry,
thing.
I just want to know what your favorite Montrose tune to sing and why.
To sing, it's changed over the years. When Ronnie first asked me to do the what he called the old hits, the original sort of Montrose couple of records, and go out and tour with that, which he hadn't done in a very long time. It wasn't an ongoing thing because after he and Sammy Hagar split, Ronnie kind of veered away from doing that stuff because he just wanted to go off on his own. And he didn't come back to that until later in life. Was just happenstance for me that I was around and he liked the way I sang. And my favorite tune at that point was I Got the Fire, which is actually on the Paper Money record. And, it's challenging, and it's kind of all more up in that high register. It's almost like singing kind of along the lines, but different. It's like sort of rock and roll from Zeppelin, has that, it just comes out, balls to the wall kind of a thing. So I enjoyed singing that a lot. And the band really had a lot of energy in that song too. It just kind of crushed the stage when we played that song. But,
Yes.
over the years,
I just want to,
go
I'm
ahead.
not going to interrupt you. I know we're both busy. I just want to ask you, Keith, congratulations on your 10 years of putting on this event, Ronnie Montrose Remembered at NAMM, which is in a couple of days. And I know how busy you are. What
Yeah.
inspired you to start it, and how has the vision for the event evolved over time?
Well, I won't belabor it too much because people have heard it before. Ronnie passed suddenly, and nobody saw it coming. He wasn't having waning health issues. He passed in a pretty kind of tragic way. And soon after he passed, there was a memorial thrown with performances up at the Warfield up in San Francisco. And it was magnificent. It was really great. But I'd have to say that it happened so quickly after he passed that there were lots of people out there who really hadn't had a chance to come and honor him. And, I ran into people saying, man, I so wanted to get there and would have loved to come up and contribute, because it was a performance. It was a concert. It was a multiple festival concert. And, I hadn't really, it wasn't really like my brainchild from that night. But a couple years later, I was asked if there was something I'd like to do at one of the big rooms around the NAMM convention in Anaheim, which I had worked with a few different promoters and agents doing stuff in the years past. And I said, guys, I really do want to do something, and here's what it is. And everybody said, yeah, that sounds like you should do it. And I put out the word, and the callbacks of who wanted to play and who was going to come were really good. And it was full steam ahead. So we started in like that August before the next year, before the January NAMM. And by the time we got to NAMM, it was sold out and insane. So
Thank God.
what was
Thank
going to
God.
be a one-time deal, became an annual thing because people really want to see this music.
Yes, yes. And
So
it's so
I'm
all
happy
of
to
it
help out.
worth it. And over the last 10 years, the music industry has changed dramatically. Have you seen the role of live events and festivals shift? And how does your event adapt to these changes?
Well, my event's only been a live event, so I don't have to do much with it online, other than, people like to live stream the event, and, there's, media companies that want to come and shoot it and, post videos and write about it and whatnot. But I mean, that kind of stuff's out of my hands. So really, I mean, it's just throwing an old-fashioned live rock concert. I mean, obviously we have to use the internet these days to promote anything that we're doing. So we use the social media and other avenues out there like yourself. And that's about it. I mean, otherwise, the state of the music industry doesn't really affect live gigs until, except for during COVID-19.
Yeah.
That kind of killed us for a second.
Damn it.
But other than that, nothing about the state of the industry as far as selling music really has much to do with this. You can go out and play live music, and geez, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards still out there doing it. How long have they been around? I just saw a clip of Van Morrison from this past October at an event. He's still doing it in his 80s. It might even be late 80s, and he's going strong. And I bring him up, and I checked him out because we do some Van Morrison at the Ronnie Montrose Remembered show, because Van was the first superstar that hired Ronnie into his band a couple of bands before Ronnie started his own band, Montrose. So
Love it. Well,
I
you
was
know
nine,
what? Sorry,
I was,
I keep cutting you off, and I apologize. But diving into your unique
no, you're
journey,
fine. My heart was warmed by seeing Van sing Tupelo Honey, which is one of the songs Ronnie played and wrote on, and it's one of the songs we do at the show. So I just had to look at it and see how's he pulling that off, and it was pretty damn incredible. So,
love it.
I set my sights on what I have to live up to.
Sure. And I know how busy you are, so I'm trying to keep my questions coming. Diving into your unique journey in event planning, your insights in the evolving music industry, and the personal milestones that have made this event so impactful for over the last 10 years. I'm not even sure that you're going to tell me, but what special plans or surprises can attendees expect this year? And are there any highlights you're particularly excited about?
Well, there's definitely some surprises. There's people who haven't been announced yet who are going to come by. I don't know exactly when they're going to come by. And that being the case, let me just say that I think, anyone who's coming by is someone that they're going to be excited about. It's basically a 90% VIP event this year, which is the first time we've done this. So you pick your seat, you buy from Ticketmaster, you've got your individual seat, just, like going to a concert or a show. Where in the past, we've had a very large theater and you buy a general admission ticket, you show up at doors and you squeeze in and you go get, the best seats you can find, and the VIPs as well. But this is something the VIPs have been hoping for I think, a while, so that, it wasn't weird where it's like, hey, those guys weren't even in our section. They jumped over the rope. They don't even have wristbands. So I won't have to deal with that because that's all Live Nation and Ticketmaster and the House of Blues and that kind of stuff. So that's a change in events and in the event for people who've been there before. As usual, we have members of all kinds of bands, members of LA Guns and Great White, Jack's Great White, Edgar Winter Group, Lita Ford, not Lita, but members of Vixen, Femme Fatale, Chicago Transit Authority, Adler's Appetite, a lot of different people that play with Ronnie Montrose over the years, which is something that always fuels our event. So there's different people that have been in different incarnations of Ronnie's band or his instrumental bands, which, for those of you who don't know, Ronnie always did a whole side band of just instrumental music because he's into that too, kind of progressive, like I said, detail oriented, a little bit more challenging, muso kind of stuff. And we do some cuts from that. We got a guy from Alice Cooper, from Ozzy, from the Ace Frehley band, from Mr. Big, a guy from the Cult, David Ellefson from Megadeth's going to be there. I'm going to say Dave's name because he also has Ellefson Coffee, who's one of our sponsors this year. And you can catch members of Ronnie Montrose Remember on Thursday, the day before the event, in the NAMM convention at booth 4234. Maybe you can write that in the notes. Booth 4234 at 3:00 p.m. on Thursday. We're going to do a signing. We're bringing T-shirts and pictures and all kinds of stuff for giveaways, guitar picks. So we'll be giving stuff away and signing it. That's at booth 4234, which is Ellefson Coffee, which is where we will be. Riot Stitch Rockwear, which is also involved in our event this year, will also be there at that signing at that time. So, and Sherry Lou from Riot Stitch also has a ton of T-shirts and other things that she's bringing just for NAMM, so it's going to be a great time. 3 p.m. Thursday, booth 4234.
Love it. You answered so
Go
many of
ahead.
my questions that I don't even have to ask anymore. So yay.
Awesome.
And we're the Hollywood Times dot today, and the Hollywood Times officials, our YouTube channel, and we cannot wait to meet you in person and not just virtually. And
Hey,
you
back at you.
butt off. And thank you for bringing this to all the fans and all the folks that are buying tickets to NAMM 2025. Thank you so, so much. And we will see you soon.
Great to see you, Valerie. Thanks for your time and appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you down there.
Thank you so much.
Come to Ronnie Montrose Remembered.
That's right.
January 24th, Friday, 7:30.
Love it. Love it. We're going to tell you all about it in our interview and on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Stay sane.
Okay.
Get some sleep. Do everything that you have to do because
I'm so
it's gonna
sorry.
be
I
the
thought I
best
was a
show
half an
yet.
hour. I was a half hour off of my calculation. Sorry about that when I was
It's
talking
all
earlier.
good, sweetheart. You're the best, and I can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Back at you. Are you coming down to NAMM?
Heck yeah. Yeah, got a room? I'll be there all
Heck
day.
yeah. All
Thank you.
right. All
Thank
right.
you.
You let
Have
me
a good
know.
evening, and thank you
You
so
got
much
my
for
you
your
got my
time for the
digits, so
Hollywood
hit me up
Times.
anytime.
Thank you. Excellent. Bravo.
Awesome.
Bye-bye for now.